turnovers. Played a good, clean game as the Suns now advance to their first finals since 1993. And after 16 seasons and after 5 different teams, Chris Paul is finally headed to his first career finals. Great story last night. Here is the star of the game after the big win.
Since day one, they welcomed me with open arms. Coach, we did this 10 years ago in New Orleans, and we still got a lot of work to do, but we're going to enjoy this. And my family up top, I love y'all. Y'all see them right there? That's my game. Straight up, 16 years of this. 16 years, surgeries, hard work, losses, bad losses, but we're going to enjoy tonight.
Chris Paul is stamped regardless. Anything else from here is extra. It's extra just to solidify it. And, I know he wants it bad. I know he's happy about this for his first time, but, I know what he's on the pursuit of. And, we have that same understanding. We don't talk about it much, but we know what we're trying to get to. But as far as he needs a ring to be considered, he's one of the best point guards ever played the game. And that's a fact.
Oh, but a ring would be nice. Oh, jewelry is always nice. Antoine, let me start with you. What does making the NBA Finals mean for Chris Paul?
It's probably everything for Chris. And I don't want to be short of none but complimentary to this guy and give him his flowers. And I want to start with saying, Nick, I apologize. I argue with you on the show week after week about Chris Paul and how good he was and where he should have been at this year. He's the real MVP of this season. What he was able to do with this group, I got to give him credit.
Nick gets his flowers.
I got to give you credit.
Buddy, congratulations. Nick gets his flowers.
Yeah. Nick, he is the real MVP. What I saw this guy do is nothing short but amazing. If you look at his playoff journey, besides his career journey, but his playoff journey, to miss 2 games after having an unbelievable second round, to miss 2 games and get out of rhythm. And Brandon understands this as an ex-player, a guy when you're in your rhythm, and then just to get, usually it's injuries that take you out of it. But to have the COVID protocol come into play and this guy not be able to do anything for 10 days. And we saw the effects of that and we saw the effects of that in game 3, 4, and 5. And game 6, his legs was under him. And you can see it because the 3-point shots he made, the dribbling expositions, the stuff that we saw in the second round all came back to light last night in game 6 in the most biggest game of his career on the road in LA, a place that he established himself and tried to get that team over the hump. But nothing but big ups to Chris Paul, what he was able to do throughout his career. If you look at 16 years, I made to the finals in my 9th year, and I was lucky. I played with a Shaq, a D-Wade, Alonzo Mourning, a Gary Payton. But this guy is taking 2 young groups in the last 2 years and make guys believe in themselves like never before. Let's not forget what he did with OKC last year, which was nothing short of amazing. But to come back and to bring this Phoenix team to where they are right now, and not count on them to get it done. He gave it to them in game 5 and thought they may be ready to do it on the home court. But no, he went on the road and did it in the most hostile environment and led this team there. He was already a first-time ballot Hall of Famer, but now that conversation changes as top 5 point guards of ever playing the game now. This is totally different. And him, if he's able to pull off this ring, this will be that guy that we talk about that. And it took 16 years for a lot of people to understand his greatness. And I want to just give Chris Paul his flowers. Unbelievable season, no matter if he wins the title or not. But just to watch this as an ex-player, to watch a guy gut it and do what he did was nothing short but amazing. And Nick, you were right, brother. I got to give you credit.
Nick was right. Nick pounding the pavement about CP3, the NBA. You guys need to make sure Nick gets a vote for all of these awards. So, wow, make sure you call your buddy Adam Silver and stand on the table for your boy. Get him a seat at the table. Come on. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
right. Thank
Look,
you, Brandon.
I want to lean into perseverance because that's what we're talking about here. You have Chris Paul after the game talking about his family and all the surgery, 16 years. He talked about L.A. Doing it 6 years, hard years with the Clippers. You talked about it, you know, as an ex-player. It took you 9 years. That's what it's about. It's about perseverance. That's why this is so amazing. But it's not about him. Think about what Booker said after the game about him. Think about what Ayton said a couple of games ago. And going back to the first series against the Lakers, what Bridges said, he said, man, sometimes it's not about, it's about the message. Right? Because sometimes Chris Paul, he comes off a little too tough and he's aggressive. But these guys, this generation, and you talked about this before, Nick, he is able to get through them. It's like, look, the emotion, the hand gestures, the facial expressions, ignore that. Don't take that personal. Listen to what I'm saying.
That's right.
Because he is pushing these boys to new levels. And that's what makes this amazing. Through all of the challenges, the 16 years, you know, we're talking about make it to the playoffs, and then you have a hamstring. Make it to the playoffs, then you have a wrist. Not only are you overcoming those challenges for yourself, but you're also walking into the locker room and you're pushing 12, 15 dudes to be their best selves. So this whole CP3 conversation is bigger than just him. My father used to always tell me, son, it just takes one play. And in that one play could be a phenomenal game. And that one game turns into a 13-year career. And so the perseverance here is what we really need to highlight. You can't give up. And I know, Wiles, you talked about that earlier in the show, but he was phenomenal. And like I said, Nick, I wanted to see him more aggressive. Talk a little bit of basketball, right? So I want to talk a little bit about basketball before I throw it to you. I wanted to see him a little bit aggressive.
Right.
I mean, more aggressive in Game 5. He didn't do that, and now he did it. 41 points and next level. Now we're cheering this boy on in the finals.
And I think I can explain that in just a moment. But first of all, let me say something about what a great man Antoine Walker is. Because the new in vogue thing is to euphemistically say, I want to give this guy his flowers, or I want to give that guy his flowers. You know what Antoine did? Antoine actually gave me flowers. These were delivered to my home this morning. It said, from Antoine Walker. I was wrong. I apologize. I was like, what's this about? And I was like, oh, it's the MVP conversation. So Antoine, I'm going to keep these. Maybe they can stay on camera just a bit so everyone can see these beautiful flowers Antoine sent to my house.
I love it.
But,
I love it.
So there they are. That's perfect. So on the point that Brandon made about more aggressive in Game 5, I think, and Antoine touched on it, Chris Paul, and he wasn't like passive in Game 5, but Chris Paul played Game 5 the way he's played his whole career. I'm going to try to get everyone else going, and then break glass in case of emergency. I will, if they can't get going, try to carry us home at the end. And the problem was, his teammates didn't really get going in Game 5, and then when he went to it, his shot was off, and that's how you lose. You have Paul George, great performance, his shot's off, that's how you lose. Game 6, he did the old Isaiah Thomas in the playoffs thing. And I've said this before, I will say it again. Isaiah Thomas, you go through his playoff game log, it's like 13 points, 17 assists, 12 points, 11 assists, 17 points, 9 assists, and then 36 points, 4 assists. It's like, what the hell happened? Oh, his team had to have it. So he's like, guys, I tried to let you guys carry us, now I'll do it. It's always there, and he just doesn't always go to it. And so I believe, Wilds, that it is now inarguable. The 5 greatest point guards in NBA history are Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson, Stephen Curry, Isaiah Thomas, and Chris Paul. John Stockton was great. Chris Paul never had a Karl Malone, and Chris Paul's better. Steve Nash was an amazing offensive player, was a net negative defensively, and Chris Paul's an all-time defensive point guard. Gary Payton, maybe the greatest defensive point guard ever, was good, not nearly as good as Chris Paul offensively. Clyde Frazier, underrated player, not as good as Chris Paul. Russ, not as good as Chris Paul. He's the 5th greatest point guard ever. That's now undeniable after what he did last night and what he's done this season for the Suns.
Okay. I'm going to push back on you just a little bit. So my heart swells with joy for Chris Paul for making the finals. You know, it reminds me of, if you're having a bad day, go onto YouTube and look at college admission videos, and the families gathered around and they click the button. It's like, oh, you got into Harvard, and the whole family explodes. It is a wonderful, joyous moment. But then 2 years later, like, hey, how did Carol do at Harvard? Like, failed out. Like, oh, we were so, yeah, our YouTube videos got a lot of hits, but no, not great. She's working at the Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
Shout out to ice cream workers. I worked at an ice cream shop, so I'm not throwing you guys under the bus. No, make a heck of a waffle cone. So